Hey guys, welcome back to Nerd Space. I'm going to be doing this little short video on how to remove seam lines from your print. There's quite a few seam lines going across the blade itself. I've printed off the sections and then glued them together. In this case my girlfriend glued them together because this is something from a game she plays. So I'm going to be removing the seam lines, and the way I do it is with wood filler. I got this for £10 roughly. You get a massive one like this. I've done a couple prints with it. This is one of them. This is not my model. I will link to this in the description. Highly recommend it. Looks super cool. But I used it in this. It was my first time using it, so I got a couple good seam line removes there. A couple of them didn't come out as good. That's just because I'm still learning with it. But basically, it's pretty easy to do. As long as you're going to be painting it in the after and priming it. You got to open it. It'll look something like this. It's a little goopy. I would also definitely recommend something like this. This is what I use for my resin printing. So now I've got this on. It's going to sound terrible, so I'll probably do a voiceover or something. I'm going to talk anyway to give myself notes. But yeah, I'm also going to be wearing a glove. I only need one because I want to be moving it with one hand and basically rubbing it in these. So basically the general idea of it is to get a big chunk of this. In my case, this needs an activator for it to work. So let me find where I put that because I've already lost it. Basically all you need to do is you're not trying to replace the plastic and go over it. All you're doing is just shoving it down into the gaps themselves. And once you've done that, you just wait for it to dry. This only takes around half an hour. Once you've done that, what you can do is just get a bit of sandpaper, lightly go over it till you get the excess off. What I've done from the start is I've printed out all the pieces. Again, this is not my model, link for it in the description if you want to print it out. It is from, I think, Genshin Impact or something like that. Sanded all the parts in between to make sure they're all flat and parallel with each other. Once I've done that, I've then glued them together, and when gluing them together, you want them to be a really good glue. Mainly because this sort of thing, because it's far away from where your pivot point is, there's going to be a lot of force pushing down on the end of it. So make sure when you glue a sword or something, like far away from where you're going to be holding it, make sure it's a really good glue, because otherwise it can just snap in half, and you don't really want that. So what you do is just sand it, and then you put some super glue in it, wait until it dries, make sure it's all good, make sure you do a good glue. Repeat the process for all the pieces, and what I've said to my girlfriend after was just to sand down where your seam lines were, because if you do glue it slightly off-centered, when you sand it, it will at least line up those lines slightly better. So when you put the filler in, it will fill in the gaps that are necessary. So what I used last time is I just used a little wooden stick. Well, this time, because I can't find the little metal thing that this came with, I'm just going to use a bit of plastic. This was actually the template to make the glass on the helmet. Roughly go full size. I'll get that off. And that's good. I don't think I'll need much of that either. Like I said, this only cost me £10. So the amount of prints you'll get out of that is it's definitely worth doing, especially if you're doing it for a commercial reason. By the way, this one will be going up on my Etsy, as this is a non-copyright model, along with the helmet soon. I do need to buy the plates in it for that, but yeah, that'll be going up soon. As the owner of the model has not copyrighted it in any way, as long as I give them credit, just like I am in this video. Yeah, I'm going to start at the end of the blade. Just going to get a bit on my finger. I'm using gloves for this, depending on what you buy, but I tend to just keep it safe, especially if I'm going to put it on YouTube. So I'm literally just putting it on my finger, rubbing it in. Just make sure you shove it in between those seams. This could work for anything from, like you saw, a mask, a small little figure, even. A sword, if you wanted to. Literally anything you want. This is printed with PLA.
I'm not 100% on other plastics, like ABS or other flexible filaments, but I doubt you'll be filling in flexible filaments anyway. So I'm trying to tend to go all in one direction, like either go forward or back, not side to side, just because I feel like it does help a little bit. And with this stuff, you can cover the whole thing if you really want it, to get rid of these layer lines. In this case, I'm not going to. It's just generic wood filler. I literally just went down to a place near me and said, "You got any wood filler?" And they said, "Yeah." "What are you using it for?" I was like, "Not wood, for plastic." And they're like, "I don't know if that's going to work." I went, "I saw some videos online, therefore it works," because, you know, that's how you know, you get information nowadays. But yeah, I actually took it home. I did it. It worked. It sticks to the plastic really nicely, especially with those layer lines. Definitely helps. Letting it dry, sanding it down to a nice finish that you're happy with, and then giving it a full paint, spray paint probably, of white or some sort of white primer. Hydro dipping primer seems to be pretty good. It can be expensive though, as it is for hydro dipping. So that's what I use for the helmet. I'm sure there's better stuff out there. I've only really experimented a little bit with the priming and stuff. Spray paint I'm sure will do. In my opinion, this seems to be easily the best way to do it. There's other methods out there for filling in seam lines on a 3D print to do with PLA, but this seems to be one that I find pretty easy. There's no real method towards it. You haven't got to try and fill it in manually with more PLA or anything like that. It does give a really nice smooth finish if applied correctly. So if you've got a stint on your finger, don't rub it that way, but instead rub it this way, basically up the staircase. Therefore you'll leave a ramp of this behind it, making a slightly nicer finish. That's what I seem to be doing. It definitely seems to be helping. Be a little dark, so sorry about that. Also, if my voice sounds weird, because I've got this on, like so at the start. But now I know I've got enough, I'm going to push that lid down, make sure the cap's on, do that, do it for next time. And yeah, I'll be back in whenever the hell it's dry. I'm back again, so now it is dry. As you can see, it's pretty solid. It's hard to snap off. It's been around half an hour, 40 minutes, something roughly like that. But now it is, so I can show you here, it's pretty rock solid. So if you don't leave it to dry enough, I found, it really does stick in your sandpaper really well. So yeah, watch out for that. So now I'm not going to have the gloves on. Luckily I don't have the mask. I heard the audio, it's not great, but I managed to kind of fix it enough so I think it's manageable. So now I'm going to get a kind of rough sandpaper to start with the way I was rubbing it on. Just focuses. Compared to where it was like this, it's now super smooth. I've sanded it away, and that took 2 seconds to sand off. And when you paint over that with primer, it's going to look great. And that was still with the rougher sandpaper. So once I've done it with the rougher sandpaper all over, I'll do it with the lighter one, and it'll hopefully look even better. Example of it doing its job and filling it in. You can see this piece here. Clearly there was a big indent here. I've sanded away this bunch, but it has fully filled that in. I made an excellent seam, and along with here, that feels completely flat, which is beautiful. Along here also feels completely flat. So once you put some paint on that, especially if it's a darker color, darker colors do tend to hide imperfections even more. So if there is any sort of imperfection, more likely it'll be in here. If there is an imperfection, that'll get hid
really, really nicely. So I've done sanding it. That's what it looks like after you've sanded it, and everything's nice and smooth. Some parts need to be sanded a little bit more. As you can see, I haven't done the other side yet, but this helps a lot when doing it. If you do it the way I did in the video, and you file it down, go this way when you're sanding it, makes it a lot easier instead of doing it with the line. But what it needs now is the other side sanded, some priming, painting, and yeah, you got yourself a sword. Just realized that I didn't really give this much of an outro, so this is it now. Make sure to like, subscribe. Make sure to check out my Etsy page. You might find something you like. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, because, you know, more people in the 3D printer community would be amazing. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.